Welcome into the Week 12 edition of NBC Sports' College Football Betting Q&A. I'm Vaughn Dalzell. That is Eric Froton, and we have a great show ahead of you guys today. And I'm going to kick it off, Eric, by telling a story, if that's okay. Is that fine?
Sure.
All right. I have a dog here with me. Lola, come here. Come here. This dog actually broke her leash today. I'm going to show you guys. She broke her leash today, and I chased her for 8 whole minutes. Had a guy help me. She shook me. I fell, Eric. Literally had my knees scraped up, but she doesn't know. I grew up watching Troy Polamalu and James Harrison play football. That dog wasn't getting away from me, baby. So we gave her a nice little side tackle. She's safe. We're sound. And I'm back to winning football bets. Are you ready for today?
Well, a lesser analyst, Vaughn, would have been considered doubtful for this show, but not you.
Probably.
Not you. Persevering, scraped knee and all, you were ready to come out and give the people what they want, which is winners.
Yes,
I appreciate the dedication.
With the winners today, I'm going to buy this dog a new leash for its owner, and she's going to be thrilled. She's like, thank you so much. We won't even tell her the story. So, Eric Froton, you're on site today for a game. Why don't you prep us for North Carolina versus Clemson?
Yeah, we got a big game here in Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina, where they take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. And North Carolina 8-2. Obviously, Clemson hasn't quite had the season that they were hoping for. You know, they're hoping for a bounce back after last year, but still just 6-4, but looking to finish out strong, get themselves an 8-4 record. Obviously, Dabo is saying all the right things about wanting to, win this game. I've got a play here. It's currently listed at -7. Actually toggled down to 6.5 a little bit, opened at 8 on Circa, so we're kind of landing in the middle. I'm going to take an under for UNC wide receiver Nate McCollum. McCollum transferred over from Georgia Tech earlier in this season. Was expected to be, a pretty integral part, at least in the slot, for the Tar Heels. However, after getting injured early in the season, he ended up getting banged up in week 5, I believe it was. Since coming back from that, just simply hasn't looked the same. Had a big game against Syracuse, but then from the last 4, 3 catches for 19 yards against Miami. Had a horrible game against UVA on October 21st. Got 11 targets, caught only 2 passes for 11 yards. And since then, he's fallen behind Kobe Paysauer in the pecking order. 1 catch for 2 yards against Georgia Tech last week. 2 catches for just 9 yards against Duke. That is 4 consecutive games where he's had 3 catches or less and 19 yards or less. He's currently listed at 28.5 receiving yards. I just think where he is in the current pecking order with Clemson's, pretty stout pass defense. I think you'll see a little bit more of Omari and Hampton today for the North Carolina Tar Heels. So I am going to take the under on Nate McCollum's 28.5 receiving yards.
I like the play. I also like this game in general. I think you're going to see a fantastic game. The fact that the spread was 7, maybe definitely lean Clemson if I'm backing a side or total in this game. I think the Tigers' defense has certainly looked better. That win against Notre Dame may have inflated this line a little bit, Eric. I don't know if you have an opinion on that, because certainly Drake Maye and the Tar Heels have been terrific on offense all season. So before we bring in our first guest in a few minutes, do you think this line is inflated at all?
I think it's a good line. I personally lean North Carolina on this simply for the fact that you're getting 7 points. They've been pretty damn good. This is a very talented team. Obviously, Clemson recruits, with the best of them, but they've rebuilt pretty well through the portal and still have top 20 talent level on both offense and defense, according to their 247 sports talent rating. So I think just getting a touchdown here, it's hard to go the other way.
Oh, we'll see. Remember last time, though, you attended a game and you said the road team could cover or win an upset. Was that last week at Happy Valley? I think
last week, that was a home team that I said could cover.
That was a home team. You're right. So
unfortunately, did not come to pass. Vaughn gets the roast beef sandwich on that one.
Yeah, I do, and I'd like that today if that could happen. But we're gonna save your ladders for 10 minutes later, and I'm gonna save my moneyline sprinkle parlay, because we're just going all out today, Eric, because I haven't hit one in 2 weeks, so we're just going all out today. Let's bring in our first guest, who I'm excited to have on. I'm a big fan. Pamela Maldonado, how are you doing today? How's the week been?
I'm super excited to hear what this parlay is, that you're bummed that you haven't hit one in 2 weeks. People don't even hit that in a season. I want to know what this parlay is.
Well, I got a little help with my last money line sprinkle because Meg McDonald came on and she gave me Oklahoma State because I was feeling them, so I took them. But since then, I've literally lost 6 money line sprinkles, so I'm going all out. We're gonna get to your picks first, and then we'll do my sprinkle at the end because we're gonna need your people's parlay leg as well. So I didn't get your picks, I didn't get your games. We don't know what you're talking about today. So what was the first game?
I'm probably the only person on the planet that's interested and even watching Iowa games. I like Iowa -3 today.
You
Every
like
week, I
Iowa.
have been riding the under train. I've been saying it for about 3, 5, 6 weeks now. These totals need to be opened at 23.5, and you keep giving me 30s. So looking at the under for sure, but the game, actually the side that I want to look at is Iowa to cover the 3 at home. And it has a lot to do with Illinois quarterback. Luke Altmaier, he didn't practice. He didn't play last week against Indiana. And so you had a new quarterback come in senior John Paddock. He absolutely went off for this Illini offense. 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then the team decided to go back to Altmaier. But please, let's go back to him because not once this season has Altmaier thrown for 300 yards. He has 1 interception in 3 of his last 4 games. I don't know what's going on there, why they chose to go back to the starting quarterback. I would much rather have preferred Altmaier. And if that was the case, interested in the underdog. But because of the quarterback situation with Illinois, you got to look only to Iowa because this is by far the best defense that Illinois has faced. This is the DNA of Iowa. You have a lackluster offense to say the least, but they play smash mouth, no offense, stout defense. I don't see how Illinois gets any points up on the board.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this is a similar situation to last week where Rutgers came to town against Iowa and were promptly shut out 22-0. That is a common theme we see with this Iowa Hawkeyes team. I am actually have a play in this game as well. We're going to go with the under on passing yardage for the great Deacon Hill, the hefty righty, of course, out there throwing the balls. This is actually the highest total we've seen on him in about a month when he got up to 150 a couple of games. But, 99.5 last week. He clearly went over that, fairly comfortably. But this week, we have sort of a possibly an overcorrection, in my opinion, up to 127.5 against a pretty respectable Illinois defense. Johnny Newton and company there. I think he's going to have a hard time throwing the ball. 127.5. I'm going under Deacon Hill, though I do back Pam on her Iowa play.
That is low. I did not I did not expect to say 127.5. Illinois' defense has gotten a little better, but beginning of the year, Eric, we kind of talked a lot of smack on that defense. So not that I think Deacon Hill is going to go crazy today because I am on the under 30.5, which is now up to 32.5 in Iowa versus Illinois. But Pam, I love that cap because I actually agree with you completely. I think they're going to struggle to put points up on the board. Illinois, that is, with Altmaier's injury. So I don't care that it's at 32.5. I'd go down to 30.5. I'd go down to 28.5 because as long as Iowa's playing football, we're going under. So what's game two for us?
Oh, unfortunately, I'm a Texas Longhorn, but I'm fading my horns today with Iowa State plus 7.5. It's a really big question mark as to what this Texas offense is without Jonathan Brooks. He's been Bijan Robinson 2.0 in that run game, and he's such a significant key part of this offense that I'm really not sure that they're going to have the balance needed in order to contend against an Iowa State defense. What Brooks does for this offense is he has the ability to set up scores off of 73-yard runs. He's so explosive on this offense in the passing game too. He's been utilized both as a passing back as well. So now you're putting it into the hands of Quinn Ewers, who without Brooks, honestly, I worry that he can have the problems that we saw last year where he was just wildly inconsistent. When he struggles, when the defenses stack up on running back options. So now what does Texas look like to do? They want to hit those big plays off play action. They want to create favorable matchups in the secondary. Is Quinn Ewers the guy that's going to be able to deliver that without having a dual threat option in Brooks? And now at least you're getting Iowa State, who is 22nd in red zone defense. And we know that Texas in back-to-back games, they've been having fourth quarter problems. In the last 3 games, they're 12th worst in points allowed. K-State, they went into overtime, had no business going into overtime. TCU, that was a 3-point win when they were up 26-6. You're having that type of issues without your key player, relying on Quinn Ewers, who's back from injury, against a really good Iowa State defense. I got to back the Cyclones at home.
I don't hate the Iowa State's actually down to +7 right now. So certainly looks like you're getting a good number there. Eric, don't you have a play on Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, I actually like the over 250.5 passing yards on Quinn Ewers. Reason being, since he got injured on October 21st, came back last week against TCU, threw for 317. Even in that game against Houston, he went just under, threw for 211. That was when he was injured. In 4 of the previous 5 games, actually 5 of the previous 6 games prior to him getting injured, he cleared that 250.5 yard mark. With the aforementioned Jonathan Brooks injured, breaking in Cedric Benson on his first game as a starter, true freshman. Finally, Cedric Baxter. We will see him finally living up to his prep billing. He's the number 1 running back out of the 2025 class. I think you're going to see them have to obviously throw a little more. Iowa State, credible program, has done a phenomenal job after the gambling scandal came out. But I do think that this is a spot where Quinn Ewers will go over once again. He has only gone under twice. And like I said, once was against Houston when he was injured. The other was against Wyoming in a 31-10 blowout where they only threw 21 passes. Didn't need to throw the ball. I think they will need to do so today.
If he's going over, it's more than likely because Iowa State's keeping the game close. And I know Iowa State functions very, very well as a home underdog too. So I like both plays in that game. I think we're going to. This is a good show so far. I think we're being profitable still. We're maintaining what we're supposed to be doing. Pam, what's the third play? You got any more than 3 plays, or are we just getting a 3-piece special today?
Let's just go for the 3-peat. I'm going to go with Florida +11 against Missouri. The Missouri injuries are starting to pile up after playing Georgia, rightfully so. I mean, that's one of the most competitive teams, and they really gave everything they had to stay in that game. Well, now every player imaginable is on the injury list. You have quarterback Brady Cook banged up, RB1 and Cody Schrader. He accounted for 205 rushing yards, so he's a big key part. Plus 5 receptions. So not only is he such a significant part of this offense, but now he's coming into this a little banged. You have wide receiver 1, Luther Burden, and out is their top tackler in Tyron Hopper. I really love Graham Mertz as a quarterback. What he's done with his Florida offense, he's such a great fit for this offense compared to what he was at Wisconsin. He has 2 interceptions thrown, yet he's the 15th most sacked quarterback. He does a really great job of protecting the ball, which is something that we're not used to seeing. So he's not getting the kind of recognition that he deserves. And he's 5th in completion percentage, and he is accurate. He actually leads the SEC in accuracy. And they're still playing, Florida is playing for bowl eligibility here. So I expect them to play tough, close, Florida +11 and Missouri. This is a good, sell high on Missouri spot after being competitive against Georgia, romping Tennessee. Now this is a little bit of an inflated value.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to Florida, I do think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit on Missouri. We've seen Graham Mertz, the resurgence of Graham Mertz this year, which I've been pretty pleased with. You know, we've made some good money off of Mr. Mertz, including last week on his alt line, and he is cash for us. But I do have a play in the game as well. You mentioned him, Luther Burden, who is, in my estimation, the number 1 wide receiver from the 2025 and 2026 classes for NFL draft purposes. As you mentioned, he's been banged up, but has played every single week. And we are actually getting the lowest receiving yardage line we've had all year on Burden, frankly. He's listed at 81.5 over on FanDuel. That's at -114. However, the astute ones of us will notice that his alt line over on FanDuel, same site, at 80+ yards is also listed at 114. So you can actually get, in effect, Luther Burden at 79.5 receiving yards over. At the same, you can get his 81.5 receiving yards over at FanDuel. So I will recommend the alt 80+, and also to take a look at his alt line. 110 is only +240. They've definitely suppressed the high end for him since he has blown it up quite a few times, but that's still something I'd consider. But at 79.5 yards, that 80-plus alt line at minus 114 over at FanDuel, that's as good as you're going to get for Luther Burden and about as low as you could ask for. Keep in mind, Florida, in terms of their past events, woeful, allowing 8.76 yards per pass. That is 129th out of 133 FBS teams. Horrible. 118th in EPA per play overall defensively. This is a team that gives up big plays with Brady Cook, Missouri, cruising right now. As long as Luther Burden is playing, I see him going over.
I'm not going to disagree with that one. Sounds like Pam more than likely won't either. So I wanted to go over Pam's plays. And Pam, we always ask everyone, you got to give us your best pick for a parlay piece. So give it to us. What do you got?
I'm going to go with the Iowa -3. They are just such a great defense. And if it wasn't for the Illinois choosing to stick with their QB1, then I would be not on this. But I love Iowa -3. You got to stick with the good defense that they have. This is a reason why these games go under. It's because they stop opponents in their tracks. So ride it until it doesn't.
Yeah, very hard to win there too.
Riding the paddy wagon. No John Paddock, no Pam Maldonado for Illinois.
I absolutely love it. Pamela, thank you for joining us today. Make sure you let everyone know where they can find all your work at.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on X at Pamela M35, and everything is over at the Yahoo Sportsbook app.
I love it. Thank you so much again. Best of luck today, and enjoy your Saturday for us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Nice. That was great stuff there. 3 great plays. I agree with all those sides. A lot of home teams too, which is always a great way to bet, Eric. So why don't we hop back into your ladders, my money line sprinkle parlay, and we'll get things rolling.
Yeah, we already talked about Luther Burden. Luckily, that dovetailed nicely into this segment for that last one. But we're also going to go with Indiana quarterback Brendan Sorsby against Michigan State. They're hosting Michigan State. He's currently listed at 191.5 passing yards, but you can find his alt line at 250 plus passing yards at plus 250 money. Now, we've seen Illinois just a resurgence over the past 3 weeks, having given Penn State all they can handle, upsetting Wisconsin the following week, and then having a 48-45 absolute OK Corral shootout against the aforementioned Illinois last week. And Sorsby has really been the catalyst for this turnaround. You expected Taven Jackson at the beginning of the year, a Tennessee transfer, 4-star QB who had gotten passed over by Nico Yamalieva. So he transferred out. He hasn't been quite as good as they expected him to. It's actually been Sorsby who has taken over that job and really run with it. And this is an Indiana team that, last year was top 10 in pace. They want to play quickly. Now they can. Donovan McCulley's looked great. Had a big game last week. DeQuise Carter as well caught a couple of big, long passes. I just think against a very suspect Michigan State defense that is in disarray following the dismissal of Mel Tucker, still trying to find an identity, rotating quarterback after quarterback. Is it Hauser? Sam Levitt is now, he didn't even play last game because he is currently, doesn't want to burn his red shirt. It's just a state of disarray over there at Michigan State. I really like Brendan Sorsby to go over the 191.5. And I also like him to at 2.5 to 1 odds at 250 plus passing yards.
Yeah, no, love these plays in general. I know Brad Thomas is hopping in. We miss you, Brad. I don't know if Brad's coming back next week or the following week, but whatever week it is, let me know because I'm going to be pumped to get this guy back on the show. We do have another Brad on the show later, but we're not going to spoil that. But I do like those plays a lot.
A dual Brad show this week. I mean, what more can anybody really ask for?
We're doing the best we can, people.
Yeah. My last alt line ladder play is going to be USC running back Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, can't say enough about what Lloyd has done this season. He's averaging 7.4 yards per carry. Just been torching everybody that he gives him an opportunity. He's at 56.5 yards, which is frankly very reasonable for what we've seen here from him. Last week, only got 9 carries for 37 yards against Oregon because they were in a heavy chase script right out of the gate. But, if you look at the trends from the previous 6, 7, 8 games, Marshawn Lloyd, even in limited touches, he is ripping off big play after big play. You watch the long rushes for each game, 56, 45, 43, 27, is a big play waiting to happen. You watch the way he runs. It's clear why he is a late favorite, sort of coming up in the NFL draft circles because of he's 215, 220 pounds, and he cuts on a dime. Sets up his defenders very well, which really breeds these big plays. Has gone over, besides last week against a stout Oregon defense in Eugene, Oregon, he's gone over this number in 5 of his last 6 marks. Not even going over this number. He's gone over 75 yards in 5 of his last 6 games. Putting him at 56.5, I think, is really underselling him, considering what we're dealing with here, and against a UCLA team that Chip Kelly is rumored to be out. I mean, right out of the gate, he is rumored to be gone next week. As soon as the calendar turns to Sunday. That's what we're hearing in preparation for UCLA's move to the Big Ten. With all this circling around UCLA, with USC wanting to get this win, wanting to bring it home, I have to go with this over on Lloyd. I think that's an excellent, in terms of just the over itself. Then you go and look at the alt potential. 90-plus yards is plus 310. 80-plus yards is plus 225. I just think that there's too much value here. Give me that over and an alt line play on Marshawn Lloyd. And Brad Thomas is riding with me too. So you got both of us.
Let's go. Love to see that. UCLA season. I mean, 2 straight losses now for them. They're bowl eligible, 6-4, but 2 straight losses. You lost to Utah, Oregon State, Arizona State this year. Chip Kelly just hasn't got them over the hump. So no surprise they want to start fresh in the Big Ten. But Eric, I'm saying it right now to anyone from NBC or Peacock that's watching our show. We would like UCLA at Penn State on Peacock October 5th. That'd be a pretty cool game.
Amen. Let's go.
I'm in as well. Whatever you do, just don't make Iowa go out to UCLA for that game. All right. Let's go to my money line parlay. So 2 of these plays, one of these plays, one of these plays will be official. If somehow we don't sweep early this late, Eric, then the second play will be official. All right. So plus 574. I like Miami today. That's a big lean of mine. The Miami Hurricanes are a home dog or pick 'em today, and I like this spot because they've won 2 straight against Louisville. I've been saying all year, Eric, that Louisville is overrated, and Miami's 11-3-1 overall against them. I feel like despite all the stuff we've talked about, the Hurricanes, they're still one of the better teams, arguably top 25. They just find ways to lose sometimes. But today, senior day, I think Miami gets it done. Rocking with Utah. I'll break that one down later in the show because that will be an official bet for us, Utah plus the 1. But Oregon State, have we not talked about this? Is this not time, Eric? What is your opinion on Washington for Oregon State? Because Washington's an underdog for the first time all year at Corvallis. Washington's won 10 of the last 11 meetings against Oregon State. But guess what? Last time at Corvallis, those Beavers, they got the job done.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is the game of the week, or at the very least one of them. Yeah, I see Georgia-Tennessee is right there too. But I mean, I would argue this is even bigger since I do expect this to be pretty competitive. I mean, I'm leaning Washington here just because the team of destiny feels like it just keeps on rolling, of course. But man, Oregon State and Corvallis, they've been so good defensively. They can run the ball on you, which is the weakness of Washington. I mean, we've seen team after team come after him on the ground. I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Dane Martinez. He started out at 103.5. I've seen him up to 110.5 in terms of his rushing yardage line, which, I mean, I don't see how you can take an under position on him here since that is it's all green light all around to a big rushing day. And Oregon State trying to control the clock against this high-octane Washington offense.
Yeah, and I just checked now, but Washington just flipped to the favorite. So they're -1 at most places or pick 'em. Yeah, Oregon State got up to 2.5 as a favorite. So I'm intrigued, man, because I think, we've been saying Washington's going through the hardest stretch of the season, 3-4 straight tough games against ranked opponents or rivals, and now they find their spot on the road as a dog. I mean, I really want to buy into Oregon State tonight. That's why they're the last leg of the moneyline parlay sprinkle. But I kind of want to bet them, but I don't want to say – you said team of destiny. That was TCU last year. I don't know if we have that same situation this season. Do you?
No, that's fair. I mean, TCU had everything happen for them, but I feel like Washington's just a better team than that. You see it. That TCU team last year, who
Yeah.
kind of got by on some just an incredible running game, which opened things up for Max Duggan and overrated Quentin Johnson. But if I had to go with a money line sprinkle here, I kind of like Northwestern today.
Uh-oh.
Minus the 135 playing Purdue. We've seen right before we started filming, Hudson Card, starting quarterback for Purdue, is out today on the road against Northwestern, who's been playing much better in the second half of the season. Their coach just got retained, at permanently after being there on an interim basis, replacing Pat Fitzgerald. I just think, with Hudson Card being out, with Northwestern already playing really well and upsetting Wisconsin, give it to me. Give me that Wisconsin money. Excuse me, that Northwestern money line.
I love this. I did not know that Hudson Card was going to be out. That certainly puts the better defense in advantage as the home team too. So yeah, Purdue's been a team that we said all year. Next year, in year 3 of Ryan Walters' project, we'll be back in Purdue. We'll be talking about them in a very, very positive light. But right now, not so much. Let's go Cats. Let's go Cats. All right, Eric. Should we do best bets, baby? You thinking best bets?
Best
or you
bets.
Do...
Why not? Why not?
All right.
You
want to kick us off or what?
Yeah, well, we already talked about this game, at length with our girl Pam, but I am going to go back to Iowa, Illinois. And This is a play that I had last week as well that I put out, where he'd only had 3 receptions for 15 yards 2 weeks ago, but I put him out as a smash play last week. I'm doing it again. A best bet as well here. Addison Ostrenga, the stranger. Iowa versus Illinois. We're going over 19.5 receiving yards. The reason why is he is the clear TE1 for Iowa. It's been a position of extreme attrition this year. Luke Lachey, injured within the first 2 games of the season, gives way to Michigan transfer Eric All, who proceeded to hit the over 19.5 receiving yards mark here in each of his last 5 games until he got injured. He's been out for a couple of weeks. Obviously, he will not be coming back. He's out for the rest of the season. Ostrenga took over 2 weeks ago, as mentioned, caught all 3 of his passes for 15 yards. And then last week, after being comfortable in that role, after growing into it, 8 catches on 8 targets for 47 yards. They dare to put him out here again at 19.5 yards after dropping a 47 burger on us. Come on now. You can't do that. Death, taxes, Iowa tight end overs, give them all to me. Addison Ostrenga over 19.5 receiving yards. Take that to the bank.
I love it. We've been crushing the Big Ten all season, and he's definitely caught some eyes the past few weeks, I'd say, definitely in the prop community. But I didn't know who this guy was till a few weeks ago, and you told me to look out for him. And, yeah, I'm impressed because in Iowa offense, all the receivers going under. But this guy, he keeps going over, Eric. So I'm riding with you, man. I like that one. I'm going to the Big Ten, too. I have 2 best bets again. We just can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. That's right, baby. Maryland team total under 15, and we gave it an half. Good. We gave it out earlier in the week. 14.5 is more than fine here. I know it's senior day for Maryland, 12 p.m. kickoff. All right, that's very exciting, right? Let's all get up for that one down in Maryland. But Michigan's defense has been outstanding all season. You saw what they did against Penn State. We saw it in person, and the offense was so good that they could not throw the ball the entire time. That defense held it down. So give me the Terps team total under 15.5, and Rutgers team total under 10.5 is what we gave out on X at minus 120. That's now like minus 150, 160. So what you should just do is go under 9.5 for plus money, or go under 0.5 team touchdowns for Rutgers for plus money. Both of those are great angles to attack this game. Rutgers has actually scored 10 or fewer points against Penn State in 9 straight meetings. And oddly enough, Eric, I don't know if you caught this at the end of the Penn State game in Happy Valley, but everybody on the Penn State, they weren't upset they lost to Michigan. They were saying, see you next week. Let's smack Rutgers next week. Senior day, they won't score a point. And the coaches were saying, heck yeah, freak yeah. And that's me being polite, saying nice words on air. But I really think Rutgers might not score a point. So Rutgers team total under. Do you object to any of these 2 plays?
No, that sounds fine to me. Of course, Penn State is going to have a fire lit under them, as we saw when they were booing Coach James Franklin going into the tunnel after the game, as we got to see
Yeah,
live and direct, whether we liked it or not. Um,
I liked it.
so yeah, I know you liked it. I know I didn't like it as much, but yeah, I got no problem with either of those bets. Let's go get them.
Let's go get him, man. Yeah, it's going to be Go Blue once again, and Go Blue next week too when I'm in the big house for Ohio State versus Michigan. Oh, I can't wait. Anyways, we have another guest on the show to bring in, and it is a friend that we've had on a few times in the past. Our guy, Brad Evans. What's going on, Brad? How are we doing today?
Hola, amigos. I am splendid in between yard work, running errands before the monstrous slate of college football action. And of course, naturally, I have way too many tickets open in college basketball.
Yeah, and I want to let you know, Brad. Well, college basketball, how can you not? I mean,
No
Saturdays are
such
like
thing as too many tickets, right? In college basketball.
there's
What are you
like
talking
60
about?
games. Yeah, at least 60 games in college basketball today. But yeah, I got to play too. We could talk about that a little later here today.
Sure.
I love the energy because you always bring it. You're exciting, and I think you and Eric may be on the same side in this game because again, we had Pamela Maldonado on earlier. She was awesome. She gave out picks, but we didn't know what she was giving out. Again, I have no idea what you're about to say. So Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia's 10 or 10.5 point favorites. Are we taking them or not?
Yeah, but I'm going to do it in the SGP market because I'm a wimp and I like safety first. And the SGP market you can take and use to your advantage. So what I usually do in the college football market, especially marquee games that are very well priced across the board, I think the price here on 10.5 is quite nice. And Captain Hook, yar, shiver me timbers could come into play for or against you. So what I chose to do is take Georgia down to -2.5, and I took the total down as well. I think it was like that 52.5 is what I grabbed at and slapped those two together. Got a -110 juice at BetMGM on that 2-leg SGP. Look, I had questions about Georgia about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, are they really the best team in the country? They're really not dominating opponents the way I thought they did. Bowers' injury made them even more vulnerable and susceptible than I expected. And then they just gone out and obliterated the competition here of late. So they're showing their true colors and trolling me really in the process. I think the jury is convinced that they are the number one team in the country for good reason. Still, it's a rowdy, raucous environment on the road there in Knoxville. And, you're going to have people in full throat. It's going to be ear deafening to say the least. So I think Tennessee will keep this within somewhat of a striking distance. That's why I'm building in that cushion to avoid any pushing and taking Georgia down to -2.5 and taking that total down and hit the over as well.
I love that. Hey, Eric, you like the Bulldogs this week. I know you were going to say, because we're going to have a people's parlay. We do it every week, Brad, where, we add up all of our picks together. And I have I don't know how strong you're going to feel about Georgia, but I know Eric likes them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially at this 10.5 mark, it came out and opened at that, and it stayed there basically all week. Maybe a little fluctuation down to 10, but this is held, and I can't really. I'm still shocked because they went out there, Georgia, and whooped up on a Missouri team that just the week prior had emasculated Tennessee, and should have shown Joe Milton, for all his flaws that he has out there, stop the run. There was no Jalen Wright against that game against Missouri. And, now we're out there. Cody Schrader, goes for 205 yards against Tennessee 2 weeks ago. And you expect Tennessee to now hold a Georgia team that just whooped Missouri? I mean, I understand the principle of transference, but it's all just adding up here. 10.5 points. I cannot believe that they're putting this line here, even though it's at Neyland Stadium in Tennessee. Give me Georgia riding with Brad Evans all the way.
Yeah, love that. I've been a Joe Milton supporter when it's profitable for me, and I've been a hater when it's profitable for me. And this week, I'm a hater. We're in agreement. I like the Bulldogs too. Brad, we were talking a little Pac-12 action, Washington, Oregon State earlier. I like Oregon State. Depending on how my day goes, I might hop on the Beavers money line later on in the afternoon. What do you like in this game? Huskies just flipped to a 1-point favorite in the last hour.
Yeah, we've seen some serious fluctuations in line movement here in the last 24 hours, to say the least. But I am slapping the tail and building a dam for Oregon State. I'm all over the Beavers. And look, I think they're going to be busy Beavers in this game because we're going to have a lot of rain in the area, 80% chance of precipitation of the liquid variety there in Corvallis. Game time temp's going to be right around 48, 49 degrees. So cold November rain. Yeah, cue the Guns N' Roses in the background. It makes a whole lot of sense. That is a backdrop. It is November. It is Oregon, and it's just so much at stake in this contest. You look at Washington. The biggest Achilles heel for this team is defensively. Obviously, we know Michael Penix Jr. is the front runner for the Heisman for good reason, but they're number 60 in the country in the EPA per play defense. Oregon State much better and stouter in that category, top 30 in the nation. And I think the 1-2 punch on the ground for Oregon State's got to prove maybe to be a difference in this game. They can accumulate some long drives, eat some clock in that process. So yeah, my pick here, you see it on your screen. I will take the un punto, gentlemen, and roll with the Beavs, -10 there at BetMGM against Washington. And naturally, I have another SGP, and I'll just go ahead and give it to you because I also wagered on this. I took Oregon State straight up on the money line, and then took the total down to 53.5 and slammed that over. If you put those two together at MGM, a cool plus 130.
I think the rain definitely helps out in this game for sure for Oregon State. Keeping the ball out of Penix's hand a little more, it feeds into what the Beavers want to happen. Eric, any opinions? Or you want to hop into the next one?
Yeah, my opinion is I love the Guns N' Roses reference always.
I knew
it. Throw in November rain. I mean, with Stephanie Seymour, bring her out. Bring out the models of the 90s. We want in. I have no problem with any of that. Hopefully we get a better version of Oregon State than we did against Wazoo. I mean, my gosh, earlier in the season, I didn't see that coming. But, hey, they've had those missteps. Obviously played a pretty darn good game against Arizona, came up short there. Can they rise to the level of Washington? They got Washington this week. Obviously, Oregon looms next week in the Civil War. These are the two biggest games of their campaign. It will be interesting to see if they can answer the bell in Corvallis.
Yeah, I cannot wait for this game tonight. Like I said, this is going to be a fun one. It's hard not to bet games like this when everybody's going to be watching, but Washington has been in that position for the last few weeks where everybody's watching every single game, and they keep being 10 or fewer points. They're going to lose at some point. All right, Brad, we talked about this game enough already. Eric and I are going to let you have the floor. Illinois at Iowa. We all gave out picks. Pamela had a pick. Now you got a pick. Everyone all of a sudden just wants to bet Iowa games.
Well, yeah, because the under has been so cashable, bankable every single damn week, guys, in Iowa contests, because usually it's a race to 10 wins, right? But I will say this, and I'm going to speak as objectively as I possibly can. I'm only 15 minutes away from Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. I have an esteemed degree from the University of Illinois. I am a diehard University of Illinois fan, and I'm putting a reverse jinx on myself, donning the all black for Iowa, but I will say this. I think the total over, yes, I may be sick in a minute in the head, actually hits in this game. Now, we don't know who's going to be yeah, I know. It's a shocker. Trust me. It's probably got like 42 written all over it. There's going to be 3 safeties in the game.
Over 32.5 is the official play. Is that what you're saying?
The official play is the over, because I can't bet on my line. I can't really necessarily bet against my line, but I think this game could not cruise over. I'm going to be beaten up in all the wrong places, but I think the over may cash here. Now, we don't know who's going to be under center for the ILL. Is it going to be Paddock, who was the hero last week against Indiana, threw for over 500 yards, second most passing yards by any quarterback in college football this season. It was a Memorial Stadium record as well. I mean, he smashed like Jeff George's old marks, the greatest mustache and mullet combination in the history of football. But
agreed.
I digress. You look at Iowa. Well, no, DeJean there in that secondary, and him, of course, that return of punts, I think, is a major influence overall, and why the Illinois offense could have a modicum of success, whether it's Luke Altmaier, who's got that duality with the arm and the legs, or if it's John Paddock, who's stinking white hot right now. Illinois ultra leaky defensively as well, and I know Iowa and that offense has been bogged down by injuries all year, but I think they're going to move the chains somewhat successfully by the very low standard that the Hawkeyes have set here in recent weeks. But guys, Again, I have a tequila within arm's reach because I may need it to numb the pain. Give me the over 32.5.
I was saving this for the pup, but you are a dog. You are a dog, Brad. Coming on my show, me and Eric's show, and saying over in Iowa.
It's weird. I don't feel great about it.
I don't like
I love
this
it.
at all.
Oh, hey, outside the box. Let's go. Why not? Throw some bold stuff. I love it. Even more, almost as much as I love the Jeff George reference, because we all know that Gardner Minshew was just channeling Jeff George when he was doing the mustache and mullet routine last year.
Well, Jeff did actually wear a shirt, though.
True. So, one extra level that Gardner Minshew went to try to upstage Jeff George.
Yes.
I argue he still hasn't. He still hasn't. Often imitated, never duplicated the great Jeff George.
Indeed, one of the greatest arm talents to ever live in college football.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
We don't have that though in Kansas State or Kansas, do we, Brad? Because
no, the points will be plentiful in Kansas State. Unlike me sweating out Iowa, Illinois, hoping to hit 33. But looking at this game again, guys, I go back to the SGP market because I simply can't resist it. I took Kansas State, those Wildcats on the money line there, and I took the total down to 49.5, and I slammed that over. A little bit of a lighter juice there, but still minus territory, minus 110. When you put those two together on that SGP, Kansas State just far superior statistically speaking. You look at the advanced analytics, Kansas State, number 17 EPA per play offense, number 30 EPA per play defense. Now, we know that Kansas can put a lot of crooked numbers on the scoreboard, but my God, are they a turnstile? They roll out the red carpet defensively. Number 114 in the country, EPA per play defense. Jason Bean, kind of up in the air. Can he stay healthy the entire game? Because if you go to the third string, it could get ugly in a hurry. I think in the Sunflower State showdown, the Wildcats will bare their teeth and points will be piled up. Hopefully Bean will play and will cruise that over on that alt line 49.5. And again, on that SGP, a very affordable and buyable minus 110 juice.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm actually on Kansas State as well. And as you mentioned, I watched that game last week. Jason Bean looked pretty rough by the end of that. Cole Ballard had to come in and take over and looked completely overwhelmed. We just found out that Jalen Daniels will be coming back in 2024. We probably won't see him this year, though. With the backup QB, Cole Ballard, with Kansas's defense, as Brad astutely pointed out, 44% success rate allowed. That is 106th in the country. You are asking a lot of this Kansas defense to be able to make up for, a potentially third string signal caller. Too many things going against the Jayhawks. I'm going with the Wildcats as well.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm staying off this game. I don't have a great opinion on either side. I definitely thought Bean's presence makes an impact in this one. And another game I honestly have no opinion on was Duke and Virginia, Brad. Because I want to take Duke, but Duke's at the point of the season now where we've kind of just been like, all right, we're done. They topped out early. We made our money on them. We faded them a few times, and now they're just irrelevant. But you somehow brought the Blue Devils back to the show. So what's the play?
Yeah, honestly, guys, I got some hardwood vibes off of this game. I'm like, Duke, Virginia, Tony Bennett, John Shire, let's go. I got to watch this must-see TV. Oh, wait, it's football. Oh, wait, Riley Leonard is not going to be on the field for the Blue Devils. And why on earth am I wagering on a 2-win Virginia team? And yes, I like them on the spread, and it's come down from +4 to +3 as of this morning. Had a little bit of sprinkling as well on the money line, and I have some action straight up there at +160. Virginia's playing a hell of a lot better than their record indicates. You look, they beat North Carolina recently, lost in overtime at Miami. Just a week ago in Louisville, they only lost by 7 points, and that's a top 10 team right now. So they're really raising the level of expectation despite that lopsided record in the wrong direction. And you look at all the EPA data, because I follow the advanced analytics. I'm a bit of a numbers nerd, and it points you in a different direction. You look at UVA, they're number 105 at EPA per play offense. Oh, it gets worse. 107 in EPA per play defense. So you're thinking, auto fade, right? But again, Recency bias is a hell of a drug injected into my veins here. They're playing better football. And Duke is so discombobulated offensively with Loftus under center. He's only completed 50% of his attempts on the season, even with Riley Leonard a good chunk of that time. They're number 89 in college football in EPA per play offense. So they're on the struggle bus scoring points. So again, I might be running a fever or something here. Maybe fire me in the sun and just end it. But I'm taking Virginia +4 and a little bit of action on the money line at -110 on the standard spread.
Gosh, no faith in Grayson Loftus here from Brad. I mean, I respect it and I understand, that Duke offense has been fairly uninspiring since the departure of Riley Leonard. 6.2 yards per pass. That's 109th nationally in terms of their passing acumen. Pretty one-dimensional, obviously, and we, Jarquez Moore and Jordan Waters have looked pretty good. But as mentioned, UVA, plucky UVA over the past few weeks. No Tony Muskett, no problem. Anthony Coheed and Calandria, the prog rock icon himself, looked very good the past couple of weeks. I mean, gave Louisville all they could handle. That's a top 10 team according to the current ranking system. I don't blame you at all for taking UVA. Definitely in terms of, Duke with their hampered offense. I mean, I really don't have a lean on this game, but respect the heck out of Brad and have seen a lot from Virginia. It'll make me think that they're a live dog here.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Like I said, Duke to me is a team that they're fade material right now. And I just took a 2-win Pitt team on Thursday, Brad. So let's go 2-win it up. I like it. They're still playing. Last time they're still playing. All right. So you guys see everyone watching, you see the plays Brad has at the bottom of the screen. Iowa, Illinois over, hate it. Virginia +4, love it. Oregon State, love it. Georgia and Kansas State, same game parlays. Those are cool in my book. We know Brad Thomas would love those as well. So give us your people's parlay piece. What's your leg?
I'm going to give you one actually in college basketball. How about this? If you want to take it out of that group, my best play on the board is Virginia +4. But if you want to go to the hardwood, I love team totals this time of year because I think generally speaking, they're mispriced. And there is a game that is catching my eye that nobody is paying attention to. I don't think anybody really in Provo, Utah is remotely paying attention to it. But BYU is taking on powerhouse team in Morgan State, the Bears. I'm taking the over on the Cougs team total. That is at 92.5 points. They've already scored a pair of 100-point games this season and one of the fastest teams in the country. Look at BYU at KenPom.com, number 149 adjusted tempo. And the great news is at Morgan State, they love to run too. They're number 25 in the nation in adjusted tempo and one of the worst defensive teams over the first handful of games this season, number 355 in the nation in EFG defense. So BYU loves to score. They are top 25 in adjusted offensive efficiency. They zip up and down the floor. They've already got a couple 100-point games. Morgan State just doesn't stop anybody, and they love a brisk pace. Heck yeah! Over 92.5 team total points for BYU in basketball. I think it's another 100-point game for them.
All right. I love it.
I've been writing team totals too, Brad. I don't know if you've checked it out, but had a sweet 8-1 start, and they've been all basically first half team totals or full game team totals.
Yeah.
And it's just the way to go first month of college basketball. I think my people's parlay piece might have to be college basketball too.
Come on, let's party.
Have college football. I'm fading Howard today. Team total under 64.5 at Rutgers.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
Come on now. We'll get to that though. That's on my X and everything. Brad, why don't you tell them what your X is and where to find all your plays and all your work during the week and weekends?
Yeah, if you want to track my always free, always accessible, always transparent spreadsheet at Noisy Huevos on the X, where I'm always trying to give it to you. You can track me there. I also post a bunch of betting content on Instagram at Team Huevos is the handle. Of course, Live Online, my television show that I have with Danny Kluppinger and Cameron Smith. Watch us Monday through Friday on the Valley Sports RSNs and on Stadium starting at noon Eastern. We cover the smorgasbord of sports. So it's more of the college football. Of course, got a lot of college basketball, the NBA, NHL, which I don't touch, and of course the NFL. this time of year. And I also have the Fade 5 podcast I do every, Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Fade the Noise. So search that out, or you just subscribe to it wherever you download and listen to your podcast. So I'm a busy man. I love to bet, and hopefully I'm not going to lose my shirt, unlike Gardner Minshew today.
Busy man and the busy Beavers. I like it, Brad. Bringing the noise as always, my guy. We appreciate you. Thank you for stopping by and giving us some winners today. Hope you enjoyed
Hey, my
your
pleasure,
weekend.
boys. Good luck to you and BYU. Run up the damn score.
I love it. Let's get it. I absolutely love that. Great energy today for both of our guests.
All right, let's go.
Eric, we got 10 minutes, man. I know you got a lot of plays. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's get to the rest of my plays here. We're gonna go with Eugene Wilson, wide receiver, Florida at Missouri. We've talked about that game at length. I do think that Missouri will be in a script to be ahead, which means Florida's passing, and they've been doing a lot of it this year. He's listed at 57.5 receiving yards. He has smoked that in 4 of his last 5. As the number 1 freshman wide receiver in the entire country in a up-tempo offense, I see plenty of action coming Eugene's way this week. We're going to go with Maryland, Michigan at Maryland. I actually think Blake Corum goes under 93.5 rushing yards today.
Whoa.
Reason being is, up until last week where he, went over 100 yards, got rode hard and put away wet, like he's basically been in that 15 carries or less realm where Michigan hasn't had to do much, and against the Maryland team where you obviously have Ohio State on deck, I don't think they're going to put him to his full paces today. I think they're going to want to keep Corum at least relatively healthy. He was banged up, if you remember, at the end of last season, and that really affected Michigan definitely against TCU. They're going to want to have him ready. I think they get out to a nice, comfortable lead and then put him away. So that's my sort of play on Corum. You don't have to go crazy on that. That's sort of a hunch. Samuel Brown, wide receiver, Houston. This Houston-Oklahoma State game, I see overs coming in this game. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. This is going to be a shootout of the first order. I'm going with the 2 top wide receivers overs here. And that's, generally a risky proposition with receiver overs. But Samuel Brown, Houston's top wideout. We have no Matthew Golden today. That's official. He will be the top target. He's at 65.5 receiving yards. I'm advocating an over position. And Reuben Owens, Oklahoma State at Houston, 61.5 receiving yards. He's been the guy since the John Stribling went down. He's been taking over that primary outside wide receiver role. I think you see both of them getting ample targets, at least 7 each. And in a potential shootout, we're going to see that go over. West Virginia, Cincinnati. Cole Taylor, tight end, West Virginia, under 29.5 receiving yards. Man, this guy, I mean, in terms of the passing attack for West Virginia, Garrett Green, not particularly accurate. I don't mind Garrett Green in terms of the dual threat capabilities he's been able to unleash this year, but in terms of just pure passer, it's not his strength. And Cole Taylor, you saw him, he caught 1 pass last game. His catch rate is brutal. It's as bad as you're going to find for a tight end. The fact that he's still up there at 29.5 receiving yards indicates that, they're expecting a more pass-heavy script than simply I am against Cincinnati this week. I think you got to fade him. That's a big number for a tight end, especially somebody with a low catch rate. Chip Trainum, running back, Ohio State versus Minnesota. He's listed at 47.5 rushing yards on all the domestics. I just think that's way too high. Given it's the same principle of Blake Corum where they do have Michigan on deck here, but this is a Minnesota team that's been getting pounded by everybody. I mean, you saw Purdue put up 49 against them last week. I just don't think they're going to be able to handle Ohio State, and Ohio State isn't going to need to put Trey on him out there too often. Even when he is, he's a plodding back. He's not hitting anything more than a 10-yard rush. It's going to need to be a volume play with him. I just think there's no really need to go that direction. You're going to have Xavier Johnson, Dallin Hayden also getting carries as this game gets out of hand. So I'll go with him. And then lastly, we're going to go with Josh Henderson, Indiana. He is questionable. Indiana versus Michigan State. They list him at 44.5 rushing yards. You may or may not still be able to get that. He's just sort of come out on the injury report where he's listed as questionable in an already mediocre running game for Indiana that I think will be more Sorsby oriented with the pass. This is not a good running team. And even though Michigan isn't great, Michigan State, they can at least manage to put up a decent front against this particular Indiana team. I think you'll see this go under, especially considering he's questionable. Injury play, I'm going to go with that under here.
I love that play. You can always get ahead of the injury news that way. If that guy does get any snaps at all, it should be an easy victory for you. So those are great plays over. I'm going to go with Utah's versus Arizona. We talked about a little bit. I wanted to break this game down a little more detail. This is the one game I am adding to what I've sent out earlier in the week. Eric, did you know that Utah is 12-3 against the spread in their last 15 as a road underdog?
Damn.
Bet you didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's the phenomenal numbers. Did you also know that Utah has won the last 7 games coming off a loss? They've avoided back-to-back losses 7 straight times. That's what we have here. And what we also have is something Pamela hit on earlier when she was talking about a team. I forget which team, but she talked about a sell high point. That's Arizona. I mean, the Wildcats are coming off wins against Washington State, Oregon State, UCLA, Colorado. They should have lost last week against Colorado. They caught Oregon State on the road in a 3-point win. This Arizona team is not as good as people think that they are. And Utah almost caught Washington slipping last week. I think the Utes win this game. So plus 1.5, that's the one play I did add to my card this morning. Any opinion on that before we give out the people's parlay? And you got one or two more?
Yeah, I got one more. I think Noah Fafita, quarterback, Arizona, and I don't mind your play here at all. In fact, it kind of plays into what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He opened up at 229.5. That's actually gone up. He's right around that 236, 237 mark. We've seen it steadily tick up. That would really help in terms of the game flow to make sure that Arizona throws a little more. I think it's going to be harder to run on Utah than they've had in previous weeks. Obviously, I gave out Jonah Coleman's over and his alt line from the Penn State-Michigan sideline with Vaughn last week, which hit huge. I'm going with Fafita's over passing yards. I don't think it's an alt line play particularly just because of Utah's pretty good defense, but they've given up, over 230 passing yards quite a few times this year, Utah, including last week where we saw Michael Penix go for 323. I do think that Arizona will be in a script where they do have to run. They're not going to be able to assert themselves on the line the way they have in recent weeks. I really like that overplay, and I think that your call with Utah leading is only going to help push that over with Arizona have to throw a little more.
Yeah, that's kind of the assumption I had too when I saw your play, because I was like, it makes me feel a little bit better about where I'm at with this one too. And I just dug the numbers and did the research for our people's parlay. Are you rocking with Georgia today?
I am going with Georgia. Hell yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Yeah, Georgia is now down to -9.5 or -10 most places.
Let's go.
So definitely
Let's go.
Getting a great number there. So actually, let me fix this to show you guys the option, because Brad's number was 92.5. He got it at. It's actually 94.5 now for basketball. I'm going to do power basketball as well, because now I'm just feeling like it's a true Saturday in November. So Georgia -9.5, Iowa -3. Love those two calls. Howard under 63.5 in basketball. That's the current line on DraftKings and FanDuel. And BYU's current line is 94.5. Fun fact on FanDuel for college basketball, they have alternative team totals. So you could actually get BYU lower than 94.5, because I know this is in the NBA. It's college basketball. And 94.5 is a big number. But Eric, any more plays?
It'll be a wrap. I will be giving a live video play from the field at UNC Clemson today, where I have an evening play since we'll be kicking at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time that game. I want to make sure we get in an evening play. So just be on the lookout on the Twitter X machine for that play that I'll be putting out during the game, so you can get a little bit of late night action.
Yeah, I love that. And I might be on Oregon State tonight. I'll definitely send that on X. Eric's at Clemson, North Carolina this week. I'll be at Ohio State, Michigan next week. Eric's doing the Big Ten Championship. We got some bowl games on our menu too. So we are out and about.
I'll be at Kentucky, Louisville next week too. You got you at Michigan. I'll be at Kentucky, Louisville. Vaughn wins that.
That's a good rivalry. That's a nice
one.
little rivalry. All right. Yeah, we got some weekends ahead of us. So, yeah, everyone make sure you drop a like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys checking us out. For Pamela and Brad, thank you so much for dropping some winners with us. Eric, Froton, and myself, as always, we love to see you guys. We hope you love to see us as well. Have a great Saturday. Let's make some money.